Of course, it is always good to have on Coast to Coast our man Charlie Hulme from the Smylie Show, which you see here on SportsGrid. And Charlie, of course, is with us today, courtesy of Ahead. So it's great to have Charlie here. Charlie, good to see you, as always, my man, and to have you while this is going on, because there's a lot of things happening here. And this really changes. When I got up this morning, I started thinking about, all right, it's 5-0. This is going to be a blowout. You know, we're going to get all over Weir for not playing Tom Kim today. We're going to get all over. Charlie, forget it. We're not going to say anything bad about Weir, because here comes the international team. They are fighting back, you could say.
This is so improbable, Mike, because if you look coming into this competition, if you're looking at the three different formats that are played, the 4-ball format, which many know is just better ball, best ball when you play that at home, foursomes format, which is alt shot, which is what they're playing today, in singles. Historically, the internationals actually had a 2-point edge in the 4-ball format that we saw played yesterday. The U.S. swept 5-0. In the foursomes format, the U.S. had a 37-point edge. They'd won 89.5 points to the internationals, 52.5 lifetime. And so to see it happen this way, where Mike Weir elects to play the 4-ball format first, thinking that's going to lead to an advantage, getting blanked on day one, and have the internationals come out the way they've done in alt shot, and they have a chance to go 5-0 in this session. I mean, I'm looking at Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, who have been one of the stalwart U.S. pairings for years, are 7 down through 11 holes right now. They're about to shut this thing down on the 12th hole. It's crazy.
Finished, Charlie. Yeah. It's over. Yeah. I mean, that one's completely done. And like you said, that's supposed to be their top thing. Like, that was like a little bit of talk yesterday morning, right? Oh, why they break up Cantlay and Schauffele? Those guys play so well together. They played pretty good opposite, away from each other yesterday, and then you put them back together for the alternate shot. I had a feeling, though, Charlie, listen, internationally, they weren't going to come out and roll over in this. Now, I didn't think this would be going on. I thought there was a couple groups today that could get a few points back for them, with Matsuyama and Im being one of them. And I thought, finally putting maybe a couple Canadians together with Corey Connors and Mac Hughes, that might also, especially against what maybe would be perceived as one of the weaker U.S. groups just because of how Max Home has played recently. But I definitely didn't see this. So these odds have changed too, Charlie. I think last night when we left, and it was 5-0, I saw USA at minus 1,800 to win the President's Cup. Basically a done deal. Live right now as we speak, minus 320, which is, I think, Charlie, right about back to where it was pre-tournament. So we're on here, baby. We might have ourselves a weekend.
We really might. And I think the thing to me that's interesting about this competition is heading into it, the storyline was, if the internationals don't win this thing or make this competitive, we have to look at a total format overhaul. We have to look at, changing, maybe making it a mixed competition. A lot of people talked about in past years, getting the women involved. We need to maybe talk about changing the number of matches per session to mirror like what the Ryder Cup does, instead of doing a 4-day competition with 5 matches on day 1 and 2, kind of shrinking it to a 3-day. Just a lot of chatter in that sort of direction. And then, of course, you open up with a 5-0 U.S. lead and wonder, okay, coming out of this, we're going to have to fix this thing. We can't keep doing it this way. And I think that psychologically, that has to have some sort of impact on both locker rooms. I think for the U.S., it's you expect to win. You go out, you win in this fashion in the first session, and you're kind of thinking, all right, the Ryder Cup is the one we care about more. It's the more difficult of the two competitions. We can kind of sleepwalk through the rest of this thing and get it done, and we're going to be fine. Now, you've got a real competition going. I mean, I know we saw a little bit of fireworks yesterday between Scotty Scheffler and Tom Kim, and that was hopefully going to get things going a little bit, and it didn't happen in that 4-ball or the 4-ball session yesterday. But now it's just pure old competition. It's like you don't need any of those fireworks because you're getting your butt whooped, and you got to come out and get this thing right, because a loss is going to be tough for them.
Yeah, absolutely, loss will be tough, especially when you come out 5-0 on the first day. If they were ever able to yak this up, that would be miserable. So let's say that this doesn't go well for them here, Charlie. Let's say this ends. I still think Scotty and Russell Henley are going to find a way to at least get the United States some points. Whether that's, I think, a full point, but even just a half point, I think they're going to get him something today. Let's say 6-4 going into tomorrow. And tomorrow, of course, is more traditional like we see in the Ryder Cup. It splits the day, morning and the afternoon. You're going to get 4 of the foursomes, 4 of the 4 balls going back and forth. Does Furyk now have to kind of go back to what the good sauce was yesterday, which is splitting up Cantlay and the X-Man? Kind of get, you know, I don't think you touched this Scheffler-Henley pairing, which seems to be going pretty good the last 2 days, but he's got to get Keegan back in there, who brought a lot of fire yesterday, split up Cantlay and X-Man. Kind of got to go back to the stuff that worked on Thursday.
Very strange, some of these moves that Furyk made, and you can't completely fault him because you have a 5-0 lead. Now you can kind of, you know, play around a little bit and try some new combinations. And so I think that I don't think he was expecting to lose, you know, close to, you know, 4-0 or 4-1 or, you know, whatever it is, an alt shot. This was not on his bingo card. So I'd say that I do like what he's done with some of these new pairings. The Scottie Scheffler Sam Burns pairing from the past, you know, Ryder Cup and President's Cup. I know those guys wanted to play together. They're good buddies. It wasn't working. And it seems that we found a new partner for Scottie Scheffler that's a lot more successful in Russell Henley. And I think, you know, to kind of play it forward, this is really interesting because Henley's not a guy that you'd expect to see on a lot of these teams. He played well over the last 2 years to earn his way onto this team, but I think now you're going to hear him in a lot of conversations for the Ryder Cup next year because he's a guy that can play well with Scottie Scheffler. So I think that's a great partnership. But on the other side of that, you know, I think Keegan and Sam Burns were like 9 under combined yesterday, and to bench both of them for this session doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Shopley and Cantlay, you kind of found some different partners for them yesterday as well that were working. And to go away from that, I know they want to play together, but I think after this, you might keep those two guys apart for the duration of this competition. I mean, at least tomorrow, they're the last few times they can play together because you have both a 4-ball and a foursome session, four matches in each of those tomorrow. But I think both, if those guys lose in the fashion they're losing right now, I think both those guys get rested tomorrow in the morning, and you see them back to their old pairings in the afternoon.
I know that we said we weren't going to kill Weir because it's working out so well today, but I still, Charlie, was stunned that he didn't play Tom Kim today. It was still stunning just because he's one of the youngest guys. You know he could play all 5 sessions. He was the only guy bringing fire yesterday, trying to get the crowd pumped up. Why the hell did you sit him today? But again, it's working for him, so it's hard to criticize.
It didn't make any sense to me either. I mean, Smylie and I were recording our journal last night when these pairings came out, and I was stunned. I could not figure out why you bench a guy that, you know, in this competition, when you have less depth than the Americans, you got to kind of use the full extent of that roster and get a guy like Tom Kim in as many sessions as you possibly can. But hey, I mean, I saw Tom Kim walking around in like a cool-looking bucket hat earlier. They got Minwoo Lee out in like an international hockey jersey, pumping up the crowd. And that's the other thing that's worth stating. It was pretty subdued on the ground yesterday in Montreal. Not a ton of fans there for whatever reason, maybe just because it was a Thursday early on. And I think the internationals really kind of were hurt for not having as much fan support as they could have to bolster them in this competition. I mean, we were talking about it like, this thing should be in Australia every year because you know they're going to show up. They're going to be drinking their Fosters, getting after it. So I think that today, having that fan energy in a much bigger way, and then having guys like Tom Kim and Minwoo to pump them up, even though they're not playing, it's helped a lot.
I got about 20 seconds left, Charlie. So Sunday afternoon, it's starting to look like we're going to have ourselves something, but you still think the U.S. is going to win. You're not going to go against it. USA is still going to win.
I still think USA, like, let's call it 16-14, I think is where we end up.
I like 16.5, 13.5 because I played that as an exact winner. So 16.5 to 13.5 would be very nice at 11-1 if we could somehow bring that home. Charlie, great stuff. As always, we'll, of course, catch you and Smylie with the journals on the Smylie Show. Thanks to Ahead for the support here, having Charlie on. Great job, as always.